It is an exciting time for industry. Game-changing innovations such as the digital transformation, with its exciting new possibilities of how to use and process data, along with astonishing advances in artificial intelligence, have combined with the need to change industrial processes to address environmental concerns such as climate change. In the next half hour, Executive TV will explore this subject, hearing from a number of industry experts from a diverse range of businesses that are leading the way forward in both innovation and the push to forge a more sustainable world. There is now not only a search for environmentally friendly ways of doing things, but a range of innovations offering practical solutions.
Sustainability, in a very broad sense, means the ability to support a process continuously over a long period of time. And how you apply that to business, it can be in the sense of maintaining a low staff turnover rate. We have employees here for years, if not decades, and we have a very low turnover, so we have a sustainable workforce. It can also mean how our customers approach sustainability. An example of sustainability is the move from a linear economy into a circular economy. And the biogas and agriculture industries are both embracing the approach to a circular economy. We take raw materials, feed energy crops as feedstocks. Our customers grow them on their farms. Those feed crops are processed with the Vogelsang digester feed system. They input into a digester at the biogas plant. The customers take the biogas and generate clean electricity for that. The customer will then use some of the waste heat from the biogas engines to use for other processes, which is another form of income for the farmer. The digestate is used as a natural fertiliser spread back onto the land to help the farmer grow his next batch of energy crops.
For the lubricants industry, becoming more sustainable is vital. We have to be seen to make that move. Fundamentally, the majority of lubricants sold in the world are still hydrocarbon based. We all know that the world's trying to move away from hydrocarbon based fuels, but bottom line, lubricants are still required to drive industry forward and to lubricate those wheels of industry. So we have to be seen to addressing that and how we can develop lubricants that are going to help customers decarbonize while still ensuring that they're being efficient and profitable and successful. So I've been really proud with how the industry has moved forward on this subject. It's incredible to see the amount of articles, conferences, exhibitions that are focusing on the sustainability of the lubricants industry.
Unfortunately, I think that whilst we in the Western world are starting to buy hybrid cars and electric vehicles, it doesn't speak to the majority of the world. And even the International Energy Agency is saying that 80 to 90% of transport will still be fossil fuel based by 2030. It's very easy to charge a car because it's only 1 to 2 tons in weight. It sits motionless for 95% of its time, whereas industry, trucking, shipping, and aviation, they have to keep moving 95% of the time in order to be logistically viable or cost viable.
The industry has made strides in sustainability. In fact, we fly now with 50% less carbon per flight versus 1990. We can see the change in the sustainability agenda, right from the airport through to the aircraft and now into the maintenance facilities as well. Airports are operating green infrastructure, for example. Aircraft are starting to fly with more economical propulsion systems, SAF alternative fuels, wingtip designs, lightweight cabin materials. All of these contribute to a more sustainable future in the aerospace industry.
Sustainability is an inevitability, and it is now a way of doing things for us. So, for example, just in this building, we installed over 1,000 solar panels on the roof of the building back in March. That's already generated 350,000 kilowatt hours of energy, and the equivalent of planting 1,000 trees. And so we're looking relentlessly at every opportunity to really lessen the impact that we have on the planet.
Many renewable energy producers face substantial challenges and are requesting help from the government in the form of subsidies, grants, funding, and schemes to encourage investment in the sector. Carbon neutrality is the desired state of net zero carbon emissions from society. This is important because high amounts of CO2 in the atmosphere collects and stores heat, thus disrupting weather patterns, causing global temperatures to increase and other damaging effects to the environment. The UK government has taken action to remedy this problem, setting a target to reach net zero by 2050. Many in the UK see this as a very positive step, while others say that more needs to be done.
From our point of view, we've been impressed the last few years in terms of how the government has raised their game when it comes to environmental protection, renewable energy in particular. I've been really impressed with their investment and the development, for example, in the northeast of England with offshore wind. I think that's been critical. The movements they're making when it comes to nuclear energy as well. In terms of their support for our industry, I think overall it's been good, particularly since Brexit. There's been a lot of challenges for the lubricant sector in the UK due to Brexit, due to things like REACH compliance, which has been a large burden on many of the companies in our industry. And overall, I truly believe the government's moving in the right direction to achieve their net zero goals for 2050. I think further to COP27, some of the announcements from the British government and where we are versus some of our neighbouring countries in Europe or in North America, we seem to be a lot further down the track in terms of achieving the goals that we've set ourselves. But yeah, we all realise there's a lot more still to do, and hopefully in the next year or so they will be able to accelerate the movement towards achieving those net zero goals.
There are a number of things that governments can do to support. In terms of the biogas industry in particular, planning permission can be a real challenge for anybody wanting to build a new plant. So supporting planning applications for new plant builders. In 2021, the government introduced the Green Gas Support Scheme, which gives guaranteed tariffs to biogas plant operators for biogas, biomethane that's injected into the national grid. The Green Gas Support Scheme replaces the former feed-in tariffs that was closed to new applicants in 2019. And it was the introduction of the feed-in tariffs in 2010 which really started the biogas boom in the UK.
Within the sector, the support that they're actually getting now is by the government are looking at giving grants or financial aid to help the farmer invest in equipment like we've got behind us, or storage systems as well. So obviously that they've realised that the slurry is a massive part of the environment side of things. So the only way that they can actually pursue this a bit faster is by putting a financial incentive there.
It was supported by government 10 years ago, and it got AD going, and it got a lot of plants built. That died off. I mean, this is the last plant that I believe March has built like it, and it was killed by government support going, but government support was there designed to help stuff going. Today, I think all energy production is being now driven by higher returns on higher prices, which is helping it, but it needs to be supported by government.
Although many positive strides have been made using innovation towards greater sustainability, figures from across industry are calling for ever more government involvement on a global scale. For example, the production of biogas, an environmentally friendly alternative to fossil fuels from the breakdown of organic matter, is proving a success.
So the aviation industry accounts for around 3% of global human-induced carbon emissions, and around 12% in the transportation sector overall. So it's meaningful, and the industry really has taken the bull by the horns and set its goal to be carbon neutral by 2050, which is in line with the Paris Agreement and the attempts to keep global warming below 1.5 degrees. I think it's important to remember that the industry has already made great strides. So an airliner today on a journey would typically be 50% more efficient in terms of its CO2 than an equivalent trip in 1990, for example. Also, quite a lot of efficiencies were seen through the pandemic, so many airlines took the opportunity to retire older variants and move to newer variants such as the A350, which can be up to 25% more efficient in terms of its carbon emissions.
From an industrial perspective, both existing and new clients are now demanding sustainable services, products, and solutions. Companies now have to prove to their customers that they are not just talking about sustainability issues, but taking action on them.
We have noticed in the last couple of years that every new client we sign up with, they have a requirement to understand what our environmental compliance or our environmental program includes. And yes, we represent some fantastic sustainable solutions, but for us as a company and a small company, we have to prove that we're walking the walk as well as talking the talk. What we're finding recently is that companies, our clients and our distributors are increasingly interested in the various sustainable solutions that will help them achieve or address some of the net zero ambitions that they have. But at the same time, it's also going to help them financially and economically. And as a transitional solution, what all the clients are obviously very interested in as well, that at the same time, as well as meeting their net zero ambitions, it enables them to save money by reducing their fuel consumption by up to 6 to 8%. Their shareholders are happy in terms of they're reducing their operating costs, but at the same time, the shareholders are happy because they can also prove that while they're maybe investigating future fuels, they're able to actually decarbonise while they still burn diesel and gasoline in their ships or in their trucks.
So there's quite a difference with our customer base, and even just in the biogas industry. A plant builder will naturally want lower capex costs. They want to build a plant for their customer at the lowest possible price. The plant owner will need to consider capex and opex. Another interpretation of sustainability is how we help our customers contribute towards the efforts of achieving net zero, which is obviously a global goal.
How have the demands of our customers changed? Well, they're all sophisticated, engaged professionals. They require flexibility, they require very fast response. So we have a 24-hour desk here, 7 days a week. We operate on that basis around the world. They want the highest quality merchandise available at the best price immediately and good logistics.
There's a number of trends. I think sustainability is a trend in its own right. Probably another big trend is big data. So the industry has always been at the forefront of collating data and analysing data to drive efficiency. But I think that's really moving forwards now. So a Boeing 787 on a single flight can produce up to 0.5 terabyte of data on its own. And so being able to interrogate that data and use it to drive efficiency is a huge opportunity.
Despite these encouraging developments and the promises of rapid innovation, the enormity of the task of making industry more sustainable cannot be underestimated.
So a robust and resilient supply chain in aviation is absolutely vital. I think it's famously known that a Boeing 747 has something like 6 million parts. Even a modern airliner, A350, has around 2.5 million parts. They are sourced on a true global basis across thousands of suppliers, and those parts have to be replaced, maintained, rotated at point of need. And without a resilient and robust supply chain, that just can't be achieved. So it's absolutely vital. An aircraft on ground or an aircraft that's unable to fly due to non-availability of a part can cost an airline millions of dollars. And so, the ability to not just react to that, but to preempt that through understanding a part's life cycle and redundancy, and to predict where and when something might be required, can really overcome that challenge.
In terms of our organisation and our business, we have a huge network of distributors around the world with hundreds of sales consultants who are visiting thousands of industrial clients around the globe. That tends to give us some fantastic insight in terms of these different sectors, in terms of the requirements certain clients have. And it's something we pride ourselves on, that we're able to provide regular feedback to our various suppliers as to ways they could improve their particular products or solutions.
The infrastructure around the energy mix is only put in place when the funding is put in place. That's the challenge, the real challenge for the UK government at the moment, and really any government, is finding that funding and prioritising that funding. So if the government wants to meet its green energy goals, then they have to prioritise and produce the funding.
It is clear that the way forward for industry is to take advantage of the great innovations being made. New energy sources such as biogas and hydrogen, the use of inventions to make fuels more environmentally friendly, and drives by industries that produce high carbon footprints to transform the way things are done are already making clear, positive progress.
One of the main areas of technological advancement that I see coming in the next few years will be around control systems for our machinery. Traditionally, our control systems have been very basic, and a lot of our customers will even supply their own control system. However, Vogelsang have developed their in-house controls capability significantly in recent years. And nowadays, with a Vogelsang system solution, you can have remote access, so you can dial into your plant and see how the plant is performing, perform fault finding from anywhere in the world. And that helps us in terms of planned maintenance. We can see where pumps are wearing and components are wearing. So when we send service engineers to site, we can send them with the right spare parts ready for the job. We always have to be one step ahead. We have been producing these equipments for over 40 years. The technology is there with us, but it's always been bringing that step further and bringing that new technology in front of the farmers so they can actually utilise their slurry in a better manner and help the government bring down the environmental issues.
There are many technologies in the marketplace, and many have been applied to other industries. We're working closely with these different technologies to see what can be applied to the aerospace industry. Artificial intelligence, for example, is widely used in dynamic pricing for a flight that you might buy, in passenger data to track your behavior, in loyalty programs that reward you for spending and staying committed to a specific airline, in chatbots at help desk and customer support functions, and even in passport control, where you scan your passport and it reads your biometric data. We've also deployed RFID technology in the form of Bluetooth, wideband and ultra-wideband technology. This allows us to track customer assets around the building and see exactly where they are in the production line to be able to feed back data to the customer and ensure that there's less aircraft downtime. We've also used RFID to track some of our major tooling. So where tools are shared between different cells, supporting different kinds of repairs, we make sure that there's no downtime due to calibration or lack of availability of a tool, which then delays the component repair and ultimately brings the aircraft onto downtime.
So in terms of innovation, Solnox just won its second Innovation Award of the year, this time from the Green Logistics Network. Voted for by independent panel of judges and 17,000 members. Solnox is a product that has done what can't be done in the eyes of many scientists, and that's create an emulsifier which is green in nature, all natural, all biodegradable, that's able to keep things stabilized for such a long period of time. So in the same way that you often see those who are less fortunate getting most impacted by air quality issues, we also see the same with countries. So those countries that don't emit very much but will have the greatest impact from sea level rises and other climate catastrophe. The questions we get all the time are, haven't we already had the electric revolution? So aren't we already decarbonising? Because we've got our electric cars and we've heard about hydrogen and we've heard about ammonia and stuff. But in reality, we're a long way away from that. This is a product for the now, making an immediate impact rather than a hope for the future. Even Greta has said, we've got to stop hoping that solutions come when they haven't even been built yet. We've got to actually start now and do something.
In conclusion, the mammoth task of moving to a sustainable world is being tackled by leading companies from across industries as diverse as those involved in aviation, machinery, and chemicals, and fuel sources through the use of innovation. The digital transformation is proving key, with new possibilities and efficiencies driving the process forward. It will be interesting to see how the world will change as industry focuses on innovation to make for a more environmentally friendly future.
In terms of the future, and one of the key categories we're working in is future fuels. And it's been fascinating the last couple of years to see how the growth of biofuels has developed, whether it be HVO, which is the hydro-treated vegetable oils that are being increasingly used by fleets here in the UK, or whether it's just more specific biofuels that are increasingly being looked at and researched for the use not only in shipping fleets, but even in terms of sustainable aviation fuel or SAF. I think it's fascinating. I've been hugely impressed with how quickly some of these products have been developed and how quickly they're progressing. The challenge now really for all of them is to have a global network that's going to be able to contribute and allow more companies to actually utilize them. And that's a particular headache, I know, for the shipping industry in terms of while they're currently looking at green corridors around the world, in terms of how shipping companies are going to be able to bunker with biofuels wherever they call on. So from our point of view, that's been fascinating because at the same time, Solnox is playing its part with its eco-fuel conditions that can also be added to the biofuels and provide even additional emissions reductions, even though the biofuels are being used. So for us, I think in the next decade, that's going to be fascinating to see how that develops, particularly alongside the development of all the future fuels, the hydrogens, the methanols, that kind of thing.
So when you look at the world's demographics, the Western world, and indeed China, are going to show a population decrease, whereas Africa, and particularly Nigeria, is going to show an increase. Now, this means a further demand for fossil fuels. Nigeria expected to be 800 million by the end of the century as a huge population growth. And we need a product like Solnox to mitigate that potential climate disaster from increasing the use of fossil fuels. So in terms of the future, we are very much looking to help everybody in the Western world to wean themselves off of fossil fuels. But we also know that the journey into fossil fuels and the use of fossil fuels is huge in the developing world, Africa, India, and parts of Asia. And those are the areas where we know we can help the most. We have the issues of the really aging fleets in Africa, which pollute a lot, and we can help dramatically there.
We believe the future of our business and indeed our industry is in digitalisation, distributing our material globally in a sustainable manner.
Sustainable aviation fuel is a definite opportunity and is a definite here and now. The impact and the practicality of producing enough sustainable aviation fuel for the industry overall is a real challenge, and we really need to understand, what that would mean to the planet in terms of just the sheer production values of sustainable aviation fuel.
The future is renewable energy, and I think this is only one part of it. We need food, and the world should be, feeding. We should be feeding the world, but at the same time we need energy, and it's a use of resources really. There's a lot more work and effort in it than we originally thought, but it's quite rewarding because there's investment. It is something which is constantly developing, and companies like Vogelsang are keep changing and altering stuff, which is interesting. There's quite a lot of R&D going into the system, and there's always another couple of % you can find somewhere, which is exciting.